Welcome back, guys. Automotive Inc. here. So the other day I had a watcher ask if running high-grade fuel 91 was of any benefit, or if after so many tanks the system would then adjust and do better. Now I will tell you, with the 7.3 Godzilla and the 22, Ford does give you the option of running a lower octane. You lose some power, and I did notice when I ran 91 in that one and or ethanol-free fuel, it actually did way better, about 1.5 miles per gallon. That being said, you're going to have to decide for yourself if running a higher grade fuel is worth the money. Somebody just dropped something over there. So as you can see, in the current governmental situation we have here, diesel now is right here, at least this station, whatnot. Diesel same as premium. I guess the premium is a smidge less. 87 is a few cents less, and then regular unleaded. Now, Chevrolet says please run this at 87, and people say it benefits nothing better, and Chevy doesn't recommend anything better. Well, let's go talk about that. All right, so if we head over to our handy-dandy owner's manual, flip back to the index. I just bookmarked the page as 266. Right here it basically says we're at a minimum octane is 87, and then it also continues down here where it says meets or exceeds, so 87 or greater is recommended. So a lot of people had said that that Chevy doesn't recommend it even running on at 91. They don't say you don't have to, they just say that you must do that. Now if you have a yellow sticker on your door, then your engine is E85 compatible. However, I will tell you this much: E85 vehicles that I've ran in the past typically don't do at all close to what just running regular fuel is in it. However, that manual says that if it's designed to run on E85, they prefer that you run it on it. In some states, when that first came out, E85 was like $1 cheaper. So it kind of made sense. You were losing some miles per gallon, not performance necessarily, but miles per gallon you were losing. And it was great. But now here, at least in the metro area, typically it's not any cheaper. So I'm not sure the benefit to that, other than it being renewable and it helps farming and all that. I get that. However, at the end of the day, you're going to have to make that economical decision for yourself. So I did have this question a while back. So I actually started running high grade fuel, so 87 and better, a while back. So we have here ethanol-free fuel. If you've never heard of that, it just means there's zero ethanol, because most of the most fuel in Colorado has up to 15% ethanol. Now, if you want to know the ethanol content, it has to say it on the pump. If there are any additives in there, it has to say it at the pump. So that way you know what's going into your vehicle, so you have the best opportunity to not have damage to it, because as a consumer, they have to provide you the information, and then you have to actually read it and use it. So I started running ethanol-free about 400 miles ago. That includes with my towing and everything like that. So Kong pretty much just does towing and a little bit of commuting, and I would say most of my driving is mixed, but I do drive a ton. That being said, because of the size of the fuel tank in here, which is a 36 gallon, 1,000 miles is really only going to be about 3 tanks of fuel. So if the system was going to change itself in the Chevy, because obviously the port injection on the Ford and direct injection on the Chevy, there are two different methods of thought there. People say direct injection gets better fuel economy. I haven't experienced that except for a few times with the Chevy where it actually did better with the Ford, but traditionally the Ford seems to have still done better up into where it had an engine issue. So I basically started keeping track of, had I filled this with regular fuel at the time of the stop and fill, and the time I filled it up with premium. So that way we can say, okay, is there a price savings, and is there a fuel mileage per gallon gain? Well, I'm going to run this for about another 500 miles, guys. The engine's more than broke in. It's running great. It does great. I'm okay with the fuel economy that it's getting, but just to see if it is going to do better. Unfortunately, just depending on where I'm at, I can't always fill up the same station. So I know some people might say, well, this station has this and that. Well, I delivered fuel for a couple of years as a truck driver. I know which stations here in Colorado actually put additives in their fuel. So if I didn't start this test doing that, I'm not going to go to that. But that being said, the octanes are going to be the same no matter what. Now there just might be some type of additive that like Shell stations put in there, and they do in Sinclair and stuff like that. That being said, in the manual, it also recommends an additive that if you're using lower grade fuels like 87, that every oil change or whatnot, they recommend putting in an AC Delco type additive in there. They don't recommend any other additives. I wouldn't put an additive in there. By the time you go buy some of these additives that are like $30 a piece, you might as well have just ran the 87 that it required, or the 90 or the 91 or whatever you chose to do. So we will come back and revisit this. Like I said, I'm going to run this for about 1,000 miles. We're about 500 miles in. I'm not going to give you the answer to what I'm seeing yet, if any change. But I will tell you that for the GM, that the jury is out. We'll come back to this video and let you know after we get the next 500 on there, the cost comparisons, whatnot. Again, with the Ford though, the 7.3 Godzilla, there was a distinct difference running premium grade fuel and ethanol-free fuel over just a standard 87 octane gas. So take that for what it's worth. Although I would say that a majority of the time the Godzilla did get about 1.5 to 2 miles per gallon better, period, across the board. Although the Chevy has shined in certain instances, I'm not sure why. It just surprised me on some road trips, and it's like, wow, we're getting 18.5 with this truck. Very happy with that. So guys, hit the subscribe button, whatever corner it's on down there. Hit the like for me. That way you can know when this the follow-up video is going to be stitched together with this one, and we will see you on the next one, guys. Thanks.
Welcome back, guys. Automotive Inc. here. So we are finally through 1,000 miles of driving on premium and or ethanol free, which is basically almost a premium grade of fuel. Depending on where you get it, it's 91 to 92. And I know we had talked about it. One of the watchers had said, do they think that the truck could relearn and do better? Now, earlier in the video, I went over the owner's manual where it says, GM says specifically, let the truck run on 87 or better. It doesn't say don't do it, it just says 87 or better. Well, here in Colorado, I tried to get fuel purely at this carrier fuel, so that way nobody can say, well, this one had additive and whatnot. Now, this one I don't believe has any type of added benefit into it at all at the QTs. And I did have to do some towing. Interesting enough, and I'm going to go over the data, throughout that 1,000 miles, and again, I drive somewhat reasonable. So I have a neighbor that has a 6-speed 6.6 one of these, and they drive hard on their vehicles every time I see them. Case in point, I don't think you could run premium or regular, and if you're going to drive hard on it, then you can expect reasonably poor fuel economy in any vehicle, especially a big old American V8. So like I said, if you're going to drive a vehicle hard, you can expect somewhat poor fuel economy. Now guys, I'm about 8,000 miles in. We are heading up Wolf Creek Pass soon, and we will have those videos for you. We're going to put Kong against the Wolf, and we're going to see what happens here. But when it comes to this test, guys, and here's an interesting thing, I drive very, very easy on it. I don't need to prove the thing's fast. It's fast in its own way, I guess, compared to how older trucks used to be. But it's a big, heavy-duty truck, and it's a heavy at best, being that it's about 800 pounds heavier than my Ford was. So here is the data. Towing, I got identical fuel economy as running regular gas. That is, again, using tow haul. But for the remainder of that 1,000 miles, and it was only like 2.5, barely 3 tanks of fuel, it did get 2 more miles a gallon better in the city. On the highway, it was about 0.5 to 1 mile 1 mile to the gallon better. So over that average, because I drove most of that city, I figured this at 2 more miles to the gallon better. Now, some people have told me, I don't get close to that. It's probably driving habits. It could be the way your truck's configured, i.e. the way you have weight, the way you drive into the wind or hills or whatnot. All of those are going to be nuances that play into fuel economy. But at $3.69 a gallon at regular and 11.5 miles a gallon average in town, it breaks down to about 32 cents per mile over 1,000 miles. Now at $4.19, and this is where you're going to be kind of scratching your head, at $4.19 it was 50 cents more a gallon roughly, and at 13.5 miles a gallon it broke down to 31 cents per mile. So over that, because I would use more regular gas, it would cost me about $320.84 to run those 1,000 miles on regular gas, and on premium it would have taken 74 gallons at $310.86. So $10 of improvement. Now, I would also say that better octane fuel is going to burn better. I would say that it's going to create a better combustion, more thorough combustion. Now, I'll have some people that kind of have came out and said, that doesn't matter. Listen, man, I'm not an engineer. All I can tell you is what I've seen in the past is that traditionally better fuel creates better results, and I will stand by the thinking of when GM says 87 or better, then running a crappier fuel would be worse, right? So if we can run a good fuel in it, I think that you get an overall better process, better end result, and again, based on my driving habits, I got better fuel economy. Now you're going to have to initially spread that cost out, and it's going to cost more at the pump, but in theory, over the long haul, you're going to continuously save money. So, again, it is what it is, guys, and to this point, zero oil consumption, and I've used a lot of fuel throughout the testing, the driving, and everything like that. And so I hope that answers your question. Again, I think that, and I have no other mods to the truck, guys. No Canon air filter, which usually I'll put a drop-in in there only because it allows me to clean it more often, have a cleaner air filter more often. But I haven't done that yet. It increases horsepower to 0. Changing the exhaust out, I don't want it to be louder. It's plenty loud at the exhaust pipe where people can hear it. Sounds neat. So really, just a base driving, it did better. So until next time, guys, smash the subscribe button down there in the corner for me. Give me a like. And we got a lot of cool stuff coming up when it comes to testing. We're going to put an old D-Max against Kong and see if maybe $30,000 can do just as much as $60,000. And we got a lot of other cool information coming about the new Ford to the channel and Ford in general. So thanks a lot, guys, for being here, and we'll see you on the next one.